Okay, so if you're upgrading your server to a newer edition of Windows, then you're going to find that Website Panel is not going to pick up those changes, and you have to change them manually. So I'll randomly pick a server from my Website Panel installation. Let's say that I've upgraded this server to Windows Server 2012. I now need to update these two services in here to Windows 2012 and IIS 8. Now, in order to do this, you have to go into the Website Panel database in order to make those changes. What you can't do is just go and add two new providers to this server. I can't go in and add Windows Server 2012 and add IIS 8, because what this means is that you just added two new providers, but all your existing websites that are on the server are still going to be pointing to these two services and providers here. So even if you then go into your hosting plans and update all the services in there, all that would happen was any new customers that sign up would then be using the new Windows 2012 and IIS 8 service, but all your existing ones would still be pointing at these two old ones. That's not what you want. So what you have to do is select each of these services here in order to get the server ID and the service ID. If I hold my mouse over it, you can see the URL at the bottom of the screen there, or we can just click on it and we can pull it from the URL instead. So as you can see, it's up here. The service ID is 89 and the server ID is 50. So now we're going to go and have a look in the Website Panel database. Now you need to look at the services table, is where you're going to get all the information about the server and the services that are running on it. Here's that particular one. There's the server ID and there's the service ID. Now the service in this case means the web server, the operating system, and this one means the web server. The provider ID is for this bit here. So that's what we want to change. Now you need to know the numbers that you need to put in here to change it to Windows Server 2012 and IIS 8. To do this, you need to look in the providers table. You look through here for the provider ID for the service that you want. So in this case, Windows Server 2012, the provider ID is 104, and for IIS 8, the provider ID is 105. You would do exactly the same thing if you wanted to change any other service on any other server. You just have to find the appropriate provider ID. So if you had replaced iSport Mail Server with Smarter Mail, you would simply replace 160 with whatever the ID is for Smarter Mail. Now, if we go back to the services here, this is the server I want to change. So I would change that 100 there to 104, which will change this to Windows Server 2012. You would also want to edit this description as well. And I would change this from 101 to 105 for IIS 8 and edit the description here. You can either edit the description in the database, or you just go back and edit the service in Website Panel and edit it here. The provider is hard coded, you can't change that, that's internal. It's the actual name is the description that appears in the database. That's this text here. It pretty much could be anything. As you can see on this one, I've just called it websites. But obviously, for the sake of being able to do this, what I'm doing right now, it obviously helps if your descriptions are more meaningful. Otherwise, you can only go by the numbers. If you want to be able to actually edit this data, you simply right click on the table and choose edit top 200 rows instead of display. Then this can actually be changed, as you can see here at 105. I'm not going to change it on this particular server because I haven't actually installed Windows Server 2012, but I can assure you this does work. This will keep all of your services intact as they are, and all of your existing customers and websites will now point to the new service, and fingers crossed, Website Panel should now work perfectly.